All right, everyone, Marco Palmera, founder of Ulysses in Dubai. In this video, I want to discuss with you the concept of overdoing when you go ahead and execute business transactions. And I want to cover this topic because I made this particular mistake many times in the past. And I also see a lot of people making this type of mistake today. So I feel it's important to share my personal experience and why I came to the conclusion that overdoing in a business deal is not necessarily the right thing and is not necessarily the right way to go about doing things. But before we actually jump into this topic, I want to mention that I got this idea after reading a quote from Charlie Munger, which says, "It takes character to sit on a lot of cash and do nothing." And I immediately thought, well, that's exactly what I always thought about when it comes to business acquisitions. It's just, of course, a different line of business. He was talking about investments, but the idea is pretty much the same. And it is this concept of having the character, the patience, and the self-confidence of letting things unfold and not jumping into opportunities simply because you necessarily want to take action and you want to get stuff done. And so his point was, I want to sit on cash and wait for the best possible opportunity so that I can, increase my capital by a lot. And there is a little bit of a variation when it comes to acquisition, but I think the two ideas go toe to toe. And I'm going to share my personal story to kind of explain what I mean by this. So back in the day when I was sourcing deals, getting our deal flow going, and I was starting the negotiation process for some acquisitions, I found myself wanting to push a deal through and substantially accelerate the process of executing the deal because I was very hungry to get a deal done, right? And as I went through the process, I always wanted to be on top of things, but I've also wanted to push the other side to act promptly and do everything in a timely fashion. And when I realized over time is that wasn't enabling me to maintain control of the transaction. And the reason for that is actually quite simple. I didn't have enough control because I was looking like somebody who was too committed to the deal and was needy and wanted to get this deal done at all costs. And as a consequence, the other side saw that as a weakness and tried to leverage that by squeezing the time frame and the timelines and making me feel uncomfortable about the situation. Long story short, a few of these transactions didn't close for that exact reason because I either put the cart before the horse, if we want to say so, but also I tried to force things instead of making the right decisions and then letting the process unfold. And I think this is just my perspective and the perspective I gained after looking at so many deals, that sometimes it is important to have that level of patience in character to let things progress at their own pace without forcing things too much. And I came to that realization because, again, I wasn't able to get anything done by pushing things through, especially in a market like the Middle East where people can smell neediness very, very easy. And the moment you start to push things through, they're going to back off, very, very quickly. And so I realized that the patience and the character necessary to get deals done was something I wasn't aware of and a part of my persona that I didn't master. And so I came to the conclusion that there were either two ways I could go about this. I was either gonna patiently wait and do nothing, which was hard for me to do, to be frank, or I needed to find a way to avoid messing the transactions that I had in the pipeline in kind of like overdoing. And so I came to the conclusion, well, if I create a predictable deal flow stream, I can then focus on other transactions that I just sourced, and I can build the momentum on these deals while I let the ones that are in negotiation and they're progressing unfold at their own pace. And so my point here is I wanted to have a constant wheel that was spinning and that was bringing me new deals while I was letting the other time frame, the other timeline for deals unfold at its own pace. And it was interesting to me to find out that that enabled me to control deals in a much better way, because letting the ones that were ongoing progress at their own pace enabled me to spot mistakes that I might have made, but also enabled me to see mistakes the other side had made, and also see potential red flags that I might not have seen if I wanted to rush the process and just get things done as quickly as possible. And so DealFlow really supported me because I could work on 3, 5, 10 other opportunities when I had 2 deals that I wanted to close, and focus on building up the momentum on these 10 transactions while the other 2 that were to the finish line were unfolding at their own pace. And so to me, again, it was either one of the two, either do nothing or focus on DealFlow. And I ultimately, evolved and adapted my strategy to be more focused on DealFlow. And that paid huge dividends for me, because even if the deals that I was letting progress on their own were not closing in the end, I have already done all the work that was necessary to accelerate other 10 transactions. And so I could pick them up quicker and avoid going through a non-constant phase of building momentum, then seeing everything falling apart and doing it all over again. It was more like a constant inflow that I was receiving now, and that created a better business cycle for us as Ulysses as well. Because substantially, again, if something was not going well and a deal was falling apart, we could immediately replace that deal with another one that we cultivated over time. And so we had 2 huge benefits from building up this deal flow momentum. The first one, of course, I already mentioned, and it was we were able to maintain a constant stream of deals coming through the door. And so we always had opportunities on our table. But second, we also avoided messing up the ones that had a chance of closing, which is very, very important from my perspective, because it's not only important to maintain your pipeline and keep the momentum going, but also to avoid messing up the work that you have already done. And many times in the past, I overlooked this problem that I had, and ended up costing me the transaction in that particular case, which is obviously something that you always want to avoid. And so as we progressed, of course, this deal flow process became something that we could leverage and provide to other people. And I talked about that in many other videos. But I think the important switch that I had to make was this character evolution and this understanding that there are going to be times where you need to be patient. And if you are not able to be patient and just wait and do nothing, you better replace that empty space with something that is going to generate future business to you, but it's not going to affect the work that you have already done. And I hope that resonates with you. I hope that makes sense. The point is, DealFlow really changed my perspective of business transactions. It really enabled me to create a predictable stream of opportunities and cultivate deals in the best possible manner. And again, that's why we were able subsequently to provide this service to somebody else, and also say, okay, now we can do that for other companies that might not necessarily facing the same issue. Maybe the problem they have is capacity constraint, right? Maybe they're focused on managing their own business and they don't have time to source deal flow. But the solution solves their problem also. And so DealFlow really helped me in addressing a lot of concerns, not only mine, but also the ones of other companies. And especially in the Middle East, where timelines are long and the transaction cycle takes quite a bit of time. It was important to build that machine that we could use for our own benefit or provide to somebody else so that they could enter the market quicker and avoid all the mistakes I've made in the past, right? And that's really what changed the game for me, because now we have a very stable inflow and we don't overstep the issue in many cases. So I hope you find this video helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.